Okay, now we're going to use OS Prober and add my Windows boot entry to my current GRUB. So I'm going to show how to use OS Prober real quick. I'll try to make it nice and quick. So first I would run apt update. And then we want to make sure we have OS Prober installed. I think you can install it from the default repositories if I'm not mistaken. So then this is a little bit unintuitive, but we're supposed to go into a file either with Vim or Nano. Use Nano if you're not familiar with Vim. But we have to go into etc default grub and look for basically this line right here. We want to, it's disabled by default for some reason, so we want to uncomment that. And that'll make it so that it searches for other operating systems besides Linux. So save that out, and then we're gonna update GRUB to make it take effect. So now it detected Windows, as you can see right there. So now Windows is added. So why don't we verify that that worked? So now I'm gonna go to my GRUB bootloader by hitting F8 repeatedly until it works. Then I just select my Debian one, and now I have Windows on there. So I typically boot into Windows by default, so how can we make that the default entry? Well, it's actually quite simple. All we have to do is go to that same file we were just in, and then there's basically a default order somewhere. So I'm gonna open up a terminal, and I think I'll just go into that file we were in before. You'll see this GRUB default right here. 0 is the topmost item, 1 is the next one down. Windows is 2 down from the very top, so I'm just gonna set that to 2. And I'll probably set the timeout to 3 or something. So that should make Windows my default. So now I'm gonna set GRUB as a default bootloader. So I think I'm probably gonna have to go into the BIOS to accomplish that. So I'm gonna hit F2 on my Asus motherboard, which will take me to the BIOS so that I can reorder everything. So I have Windows Boot Manager, which is Windows raw. And then here's Debian with a Windows boot entry inside of GRUB. I want that to be a priority. And then that's just how I'm gonna have it set. So I'll save changes and reset. It says I didn't make any changes, but it doesn't report boot order changes. So now it should load GRUB. There we go. And for some reason it still had Debian selected instead of Windows. Not entirely certain why that was. Oh, I forgot to update GRUB, didn't I? Yeah, anytime you make changes to GRUB, you have to run the update command. So let's do that real quick. So sudo update GRUB. Then those changes will then take effect. It's very important to remember that. I hope I taught you a lesson in the importance of that, because we struggled here. Hopefully that struggle made you stronger. Now let's see if it worked. Yep, now we're set. I do want to go back into Linux for right now, but for now, that's how you use OS Prober, then set the default boot entry and stuff.